When you look at a traditional Boveda spiritual, one of the first things you notice is the glasses of water.
Sometimes you see one glass, sometimes you see seven. I'm waiting for my coffee to get ready. Sometimes there's a large central glass surrounded by smaller glasses. But what do those glasses actually represent?
Today we explore the glasses on a Boveda. Water is used to absorb spirit's energy. The central glass represents the guide. Every setup varies by path.
But you have to remember, not every Boveda is set up the same. So Boveda is a spiritual working space in Espiritismo, especially in Caribbean forms of Spiritismo and Latin American Spiritismo. It can be used for prayers. It can be used for spiritual development. It can be used for communication with one's spiritual court or court spiritual and honoring elevated spirits that are, let's say, transitioned over. Here's a spiritual distinction. A Boveda is not necessarily a Louisiana Voodoo or a Haitian Voodoo altar. Someone may practice multiple forms of spiritualities and have all of those in their spiritual life, but they are not all one system. However, some people may integrate certain things into their practice if their spiritual court allows. If one spiritual court don't allow them, it depends on their path, the tradition, the way the spirit works with them. So, some people, Voodoo also might be somewhat of a Boveda. It wouldn't be a traditional Boveda, but may be influenced by it. Sometimes, especially in like Louisiana Voodoo, your other spiritual traditions can kind of shape how your altar can look or how your spiritual space can look. So here's the thing. Water is a spiritual medium associated with clarity, purification, receptivity, refreshment, and spiritual communication. So the water is not just for decoration. It has a spiritual function. Alright, so this is a good time to continue trying to film this long form. So, we're closed. So, the water is represented by different things, whether if it's cloudy, if it's murky, if it's evaporated, is it clear? Different spiritists, what I want to say, different spiritists perceive these things differently. They mean different things. And I believe it's all based off, of course, the lineage and how the spirit works with the lineage, the reglement. So I'm going to keep saying it because I have Haitian Voodoo influence. The reglement is what, is how you work with the spirit. So for one person, the cloudiness can mean one thing, which could mean like a lot of heaviness was cleared out. Usually typical, but for different people, spirit is really, really working. Sorry, I got caught. So, bubbles can mean that your spirits are content, they're happy, they're present. Now, if the water is like, I wouldn't say still, but the water just no action, nothing to it, just plain, just sitting there, no bubbles, no activity. It doesn't mean that your spirit's not there. It can mean that your spirits are like there's nothing majorly going on at the time. They're not having to fight for you. They're not having to, do heavy work, or they're not using a lot of energy right now. Like they're kind of like standby. If the water evaporates, it could be that they're using energy to help you with something, or recycling something, or transforming your situation. And remember, these are not always like standard. It could be different based off of individuals and lineages. Also, the bubbles where they sit can mean different things as well with the bubbles within the fonte or the glass. And let me not forget, we can never rule out ordinary causes, natural causes, natural reasons.
Depending on the practitioner or lineage, glasses may be associated with members of the cuadro espiritual, guides, or particular spiritual intentions.
Hello everyone, so I'm home from work. So now we talk about the central glass or copa. So that is the glass of prominence or the central guide, as well as can be the guiding current, the guiding principle, or the elevated spiritual presence. So let's remember that. But also remember, however you was taught, go by that. I'm just giving, general information and the starting place for people that's just starting. And before I get before this, I do recommend, if you're doing like a Boveda, just focus on one glass in the beginning and maybe over time. And they even do this. There's a lot of teachers in the Spiritismo as well. They do this, start you with one glass, and then over time as your spiritual court expands, develops, is discovered, then you add other glasses as well, or other spiritual courts, because some practices, they'll do the glasses are for different spiritual courts as well. So then you do a glass for each spiritual court, but different practices vary. So this is another reason why I just say practice the structure that you were taught. It's good to learn from other places, but the structure that is taught from your mentor is how you should proceed, instead of looking at someone else's altar or Boveda and assuming that you know the meaning of everything, because it really could be different. Or most likely it's different. Maybe some things are same or similar within that practice, but it could be totally different from what you even assume that glass might mean there. So your ancestors are not your entirety of your spiritual court. I know some people only work with their ancestors, and that's okay, but they're not your only part of the spiritual court. So in Spiritismo, your spiritual court can be other deceased relatives, spiritual guides, and other spirits or elevated spirits that you have an affinity or a spiritual relationship with, or somehow y'all spiritually connected in some way. And before I got out of here, because I know a lot of us, when we get into ATRs, not everyone, but some people want to disregard saints. Did you know that sometimes there are saints that's in your spiritual court? Whether they're African saints, white saints, Spanish saints, folk saints, they're in your spiritual court. So with your Boveda water, always pay attention to how it looks. Pay attention if it's cloudy or something got in it, if it's murky. I even seen sometimes when it's real heavy stuff that you're dealing with, is just looking downright nasty. And it can happen after some days. It can happen right after you place the water there, just depending on what's going on spiritually. So that leads into always cleaning it, cleaning the glass, cleansing it in whatever way you learn, whether that be with Florida water, ombre, some type of colonia. There's so many different ways. And so what else want to say? Just pay attention to it. Make sure that you always sit it out. It's a portal. It's an offering. It's a way you communicate with the spirit. It's all types of different things. So and it's also one of the elements that's on your Boveda / altar. So just pay attention to it. There is a YouTube short that is out there. I talk about maintaining your water glasses in your Boveda, so you can go refer to that video as well. He also talks about how often you need to change it. So maybe once a week, maybe twice a week. But really, anytime that the water starts getting like cloudy, if it's just sitting there, then maybe like once a week is fine. When there's not a lot of spiritual activity going on, you can go longer. But when there's a lot of stuff that Spirit's doing, Spirit's working, you may have to change it more frequently. So here are some mistakes that you could be making with your Boveda. Overcrowding it. Treating everything that happens with the water or every change in the water as a sign or omen. Copying somebody else's setup without fully understanding the reason it's that way or the reglement, why the Spirit has them working in that manner. Mixing different traditions together without distinction or without your spiritual guides. Some people are able to do that and their spirits will allow them, and some people, they're not able to do that. So remember, Spirit works with everyone in different ways, and usually it's because it's what is needed to keep your life, your spiritual life in balance. And also another mistake is being obsessed with having the perfect number of arranged glasses. Sometimes you don't need that many. Sometimes you only need one. Like I said, for a beginner, I just recommend a very simple altar or a simple Boveda with one glass. Maybe not even no images on it. Just the white cloth, that a candle, and Spirit will eventually reveal to you how to build it. A lot of times when people get into practices, we get excited with all these spirits, with all this, with all that. We want everything, elaborate altars. And sometimes the most powerful altar is the very simplest one. Sometimes your spirits don't need that. So Boveda is part of your spiritual practice. It is not something for like an aesthetic altar arrangement. Spirituality in general, African ATRs, is not an aesthetic. It's life. It's part of your life. It's not just something that you put together and then, for Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or, it's part of your life. So when you see the glasses in the Boveda, don't think of them as 7 random glasses. Before I forget, sometimes there's 9 glasses in some traditions too, but don't copy the numbers. The glasses are part of a larger spiritual structure, and how those glasses function depends on the tradition and the practitioner. Good news, there will be another long form. There will be a part 2. In that we will be going deeper into what can be placed on your Boveda. So the crucifixes, the candles, the flowers, photographs, and your spiritual guides. And some of the things that people put on a Boveda that may not actually belong there. So if you're interested in Louisiana Voodoo, Spiritism, divinations, because we do those too, and traditional spiritual practices, subscribe to my channel, The Born Again Voodooist. And if you are interested in spiritual readings or spiritual advice, my link will be in the bio. It will be Born Again Voodooist at etsy.com. Till next time, stay disciplined, stay aware, and keep your roads open. I'm Mambo, priestess getting in. Also, I'm an ordained minister. Till next time, stay blessed. Now it's time for me to relax and go to sleep. I finally finished this video. It's been days. But see you next time.